I remember talking to a gentleman in his early 60s, a devoted father and proud grandfather of 3. He looked at me with a mix of weariness and hope and asked, "Dr. Essler, is there any natural way I can stop waking up 4 or 5 times a night just to go to the bathroom?" That question stayed with me. Over the past 25 years, I've had hundreds of similar conversations. There's a truth that often goes unspoken. Your prostate quietly changes as you age, and when it enlarges, it doesn't just make life inconvenient, it can affect your sleep, your confidence, your energy, and your overall quality of life. The prostate gland sits just below your bladder, wrapping around the urethra. When you're younger, it's about the size of a walnut. But as we age, it often grows, and that's when the trouble begins. You feel pressure when urinating, difficulty emptying your bladder, frequent nighttime trips to the bathroom. And while that may seem like just an annoyance, it can also be an early signal of something more serious, like prostate cancer. What causes this? Most people assume it's simply due to decreasing testosterone. But the story is a bit more complex. In truth, as men age, an enzyme in the body becomes more active. This enzyme converts testosterone into a more potent form called DHT, dihydrotestosterone, and that's the real culprit behind prostate enlargement. Ironically, even though testosterone levels drop with age, this enzyme gets more aggressive, which means DHT levels can actually increase. That's why your prostate keeps growing. Many medications today are designed to block this enzyme, reducing DHT and helping to shrink the prostate. Some drugs on the market can reduce the size of the prostate by as much as 23%. Sounds promising, right? But hold on. While these medications can be effective, they're not always the best choice, especially for older men. I've had countless patients tell me they experienced a significant loss of libido, emotional numbness, or even depression. Symptoms after using them. Others dealt with what's now being called post-finasteride syndrome, where side effects like penile shrinkage, breast tissue development, and suicidal thoughts emerge after stopping the drug. I'm not saying this to scare you, but to help you understand what you're choosing. So the next question becomes, is there a safer, more natural option?
Fortunately, the answer is yes. Modern science has uncovered powerful plant-based compounds, and one of the most promising allies for prostate health is lycopene, a potent antioxidant from the carotenoid family. You may have heard of it in passing, but let me explain why it matters. Lycopene has been shown to slow the growth in enlarged prostate, reduce inflammation, and some studies even suggest it may lower the risk of prostate cancer by up to 21%. That's not a number we can ignore.
Lycopene is found in fruits and vegetables like watermelon, carrots, and grapefruit, but the richest and most bioavailable source is maneful fig tomatoes. Here's an interesting fact. Lycopene becomes even more effective after cooking, so tomato sauce, tomato paste, and even stewed tomatoes are excellent choices. And if you cook them with a little olive oil, your body will absorb even more lycopene, since it's a fat-soluble compound. I tell my patients, just add a couple of tomato-based meals to your week. It could be soup, sauce, or roasted tomatoes. It doesn't take much to make a real difference. In addition to lycopene, I also recommend getting enough zinc, a mineral that plays a critical role in hormone regulation and sexual function. Some natural supplements combine lycopene with zinc for a double benefit to prostate health. Another promising compound is ratol, which works alongside lycopene to reduce oxidative stress and inflammation. But as important as it is to know what to eat, it's equally important to know what not to eat. And this is where I urge my patients to pay extra attention. Over the years, I've identified it's the key foods that quietly sabotage prostate health, often without you realizing it. The first and perhaps most surprising is dairy. Yes, dairy. While milk has long been praised for its calcium and bone benefits, today's dairy often contains growth hormones, many of which have been linked to stimulating prostate tissue. I've had many older male patients tell me that every time they consumed milk, cheese, or ice cream, they noticed more urinary discomfort the next morning. When we removed dairy from their diets, the symptoms improved. Sometimes the body speaks softly, but clearly. The second food to avoid is processed red meat. Things like bacon, sausage, ham, and deli meats. These often contain nitrates and preservatives that increase inflammation in the body, including the prostate. Third is fried foods and industrial oils, especially those found in fast food or snacks with long shelf lives. These trans fats are not only bad for your heart, but they also increase oxidative stress, which contributes to abnormal cell growth in the prostate. The fourth is refined sugar and artificial sweets. Consuming too much sugar can spike insulin and other growth factors in the blood, some of which are known to fuel prostate cell expansion. You may not feel it immediately, but the effects accumulate quietly over time. Finally, and this one's especially relevant, is alcohol, particularly frequent drinking. Alcohol can disrupt hormone balance, weaken liver function, and lead to systemic inflammation, all of which negatively affect your prostate and sexual health. I know, it's not easy to shift habits, especially those we've had for decades. But let me tell you something I've witnessed countless times in my practice. Small, intentional changes can yield profound results. Adding a few servings of cooked tomatoes each week, replacing cow's milk with almond or oat milk, skipping the deli meats or sweetened beverages, these are not impossible tasks. They're simple, doable steps that help you regain a sense of control over your body. You don't have to accept discomfort as a normal part of aging. You don't have to keep waking up at 3 a.m. or feel embarrassed when you're out with friends. There are better paths, and they begin with awareness, followed by small, consistent actions. You deserve to feel well, sleep deeply, and live each day without being weighed down by preventable symptoms. I always tell my patients, aging is inevitable, but suffering doesn't have to be. You have choices, gentle, natural, empowering choices that support your body, not suppress it. And I truly hope this message helps you take that first step with clarity and confidence. If this information has helped you, I warmly invite you to subscribe to Seniors Live Healthy. We share trusted, expert-backed insights every week to support your journey towards lasting health, independence, and vitality. Thank you for listening and for choosing to live fully at every age.